So let's replace a light fixture. All right, so we got a corner fixture. Pretty common. These are going to get nicked and dinged, but they still want it here, so we're going to have to replace it. I think this one was actually maybe a skid steer, but I know the hat was messed up because the pool guy ran it over before. And yeah, it's definitely seen better days. Crazy that it still works. But we are the ones that installed it, so of course, has a really nice ace connector already on there, but unfortunately we're gonna have to cut that off and redo it with a brand new one. Things we're gonna need. We have the fixture, we've got our connections, that's the new stake, some type of cutter. I use a Leatherman arc. You can just use wire cutters, that's fine. And then we're gonna need the heat gun, so that way we can heat up the heat shrink tubing and finalize the install. All right, so we'll just take you through it here in real time. Very simple. Cut off the old wire here. That's easy. That's trash. We need to expose a little bit. Wire cutters come in handy, but if you know what you're doing, you'll be able to cut that off just fine. There we go. Now we do see a little bit of corrosion here. This should be nice shiny copper. So that's telling us that somewhere in the line we're having an issue, and we'll have to hook that up later and check and make sure that we're getting the correct wattage. These usually come pre-cut, which is really nice. The thing I like to do when I'm going from a 12 to, what is this, maybe 16, is I'm going to twist this and double it over so that way it has a nice grip. So we'll have to take a little extra off like that. And I'm just cutting it almost all the way through, and I really just do that by feel. And then you'll get that after you do it over time. I twist these up, we double them over, make a little loop there, make a little loop there. Now we're going to open these up with an Allen wrench, which comes in the package. Here, I think you get like 4 of these guys. There we go. Put those guys in there. And with doubling it over, it makes it to where there's a lot more to grip. So it's a very secure connection. Do the other side as well. At this point, I go ahead and put my sleeves on, the heat shrink tubings, because otherwise you will forget to do that, which isn't the biggest deal because it's not like the silicone connections where you have to take everything apart to do something different, so makes it kind of nice. But just so we don't forget, we'll get that open. That wire is black. We did have an electrical storm come through years ago, and that's probably why that wire looks that way. Good thing about low voltage is you'll still get the same current out of a 12-2 wire like that. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and straighten this out. Make sure those are nice and centered. You can kind of feel it in there. Okay, we'll turn this on. If you can get them both to line up, you can do a 2-for-1 style, which I try to at least to get them started that way so they're kind of sticky on the inside. These have an adhesive built in to the actual heat shrink tubing that gets activated whenever we heat it up. You can see the adhesive coming out there. And even though these wires are smaller, you'll see how that's been activated. So as long as we get this to fully activate, it'll fill in that hole and we'll be good to go. Waterproof connection. That part's done. Now we need to see if we can get this out, because it is broken. Lovely. All right. Gravel. We'll hit that down with a mallet. Get that going. Well, forgot to hit record. We're doing the mallet action, so you'll miss out on that. But simply get it in there, make sure it's threaded the correct way. We'll bury all this stuff, make it look nice and neat, and we'll be done. And there we go, beautiful, ready for the next person to hit. So that's a typical service call that we do. We get about 8 or 10 of those going and get those done in a day on service days. And then the other guys are doing the full installs. Hope you have a good one.